my name is Isabel, and I will do this presentation in English because my German is not very good. Okay. So, as Emanuele already told us, organizations are up to a fundamental change. And it is my strong belief that knowledge sharing is a vital catalyst for this organizational transformation. In fact, this is the first message that I'm going to give you. The second one is that knowledge sharing is just not a self-evident thing to do because it presupposes a mindset of vulnerability, and it also presupposes a set of strong communication skills. That will be my second message. And then last, I'm going to give you 5 tips, 5 recommendations in order to make knowledge sharing a success in your organization. This is a part of a fossil collection of my husband's great-grandfather. And the fossil collection dates from the 1930s. The 1930s was a period, it was a time when the world was rather easy to understand. For example, knowledge could still be nicely divided up in matchboxes. And another certainty is that knowledge was reserved for a certain elite. Knowledge was power, definitely. When I look at our organizations today, I have to say that I'm often reminded of this fossil collection. And I'm often reminded also of the matchboxes, because all people seem to be stuck in their business unit, and they don't want to work with people from other business units. Or our knowledge is stuck in our heads or in our email boxes. And where does this behavior come from? I think that in the past, we were mainly focused on structuring things in order to keep the whole manageable, controllable, and predictable. And, well, that was a good thing to do, but you know what happens when you put too much structure in a living thing. When you put too much structure in a living thing, then the life in it evaporates, it vanishes, it goes away, and it starts to rot and to smell. And that is what is going on in our organizations today. This is what I call this fossilization, this rigidity, is really dangerous in our organizations because, of course, the context we live in now, calls for the exact opposite, like Emanuele was already talking about. The context is not about slowness, it's not about fossilization at all, it's about efficiency, it's about speed. It's not about a world that is well structured, it's quite the opposite, it's more about chaos. And it's not about doing things on your own, it's more about social, it's more about collaboration, it's more about community thinking. It's about sharing your knowledge with colleagues, with customers, with partners, and with stakeholders. And by the way, about the customer, where is the customer in this organization? The attempt to move away from this fossilized organization brings about a certain terms, and Emanuele was already talking about. It brings about the terms fluidity, agility, and I really like the word elasticity. It's really the opposite of a fossilized organization. And so, this is my main message for today. It is my strong belief that knowledge sharing helps in the setup of a fluid, an agile, and an elastic organization. But moving away from a fossilization really requires a double change in mindset. It requires a double change in mindset. The first one is that we have to go towards a mindset of an external view, and the second mindset is one of an adult working relationship. I will start with the external view. In the past, we used to think that an organization was a self-sufficient entity that can run on its own. You have to know that in Belgium we have a very famous company. It's called Janssen Pharmaceutica, and it was founded by a doctor who lived in Antwerp, and I live in Antwerp too, so we are very proud of Janssen Pharmaceutica. And Dr. Janssen, he used to say, what we do ourselves, we do it better. What we do ourselves, we do it better. And you have to know that he had his own glass-blowing studio on his site in Antwerp. And of course, it was a good attitude, but it now became very dangerous because it leads to incestuous research and development. And you know what happens with children from an incestuous relationship. They are not very healthy. Healthy organizations, they need new blood, they need new ideas, they need a diversified workforce. And for example, now the people working for Janssen Pharmaceutica, 20% of these people are not on the payroll anymore. So you need a diversified workforce. You need an external view. You need knowledge sharing with customers, with stakeholders, with colleagues. So this was for the first change in mindset. You have to go towards an external view. And now about the second mindset that you need. You really have to get away from this mindset. I don't know if you recognize this in your company, but even at Wolters Kluwer, a lot of managers, they think that they are like parents. They think they act like a father or a mother, and they see their employees like children that have to be rewarded and to be punished. If you want a healthy organization, if you want a fluid, an elastic, an agile organization, you need an adult working relationship where people are worthy of trust and where they are rewarded with time to think. So, what I was trying to say is that if you want to move away from fossilization, if you want a fluid and an agile and a flexible and an elastic organization, you need this double mindset, and I think that knowledge sharing helps, because knowledge sharing, and this is very important, knowledge sharing allows to have an external view, because knowledge sharing allows to have this vibrant interaction with customers. And knowledge sharing also allows to set up an adult working relationship, because you give people a voice. And in fact, this is my main message for today. It's about knowledge sharing that is a vital catalyst for organizational transformation. So that was my first message. My second message is about, I can be very positive about knowledge sharing, and I also started promoting knowledge sharing within Wolters Kluwer, but I have to say that knowledge sharing is just not a self-evident thing to do. It is rather difficult to do because it presupposes a certain mindset, and it presupposes a certain set of skills. I will start by the mindset. You need to reflect on what you are doing. You need self-reflection. And then my colleagues at Wolters Kluwer, they say, but Isabel, we are not used to do that. We are used to work. We are used to do things. We are not used to stop and take the time to reflect on what we are doing and what we learn and what we know. So you need self-reflection in order to be able to share your knowledge. You need another mindset. The second mindset that you need is about vulnerability. Emanuele was already talking about failures, ready to make mistakes. And somebody told me, in an organization where failures, where making mistakes is not allowed, there will be no social collaboration, there will be no knowledge sharing. And then the third one, so you also need a mindset of trust. You need to trust your colleagues that they will not abuse your vulnerability. And you have to trust your colleagues that they will give you something after they have taken something from you. So that about the mindset. And now about the set of skills that you need. Of course, it's about communication. And you have to know that a lot of people are not very good in communication, and it's not an easy thing to do. But I think it's a very important thing to do. And is this new? Of course not. Because already Peter Drucker in '52, he said, the ability to express oneself is perhaps the most important of all the skills a man or a woman can possess. It is really very, very important. And I think it is more important today in an area where algorithms and where computers take our work. And this is also one of my most important slides, is thinking about what we have learned and take the time to do that. And thinking about what we know and then translating that into language, in written language or in spoken language. And by this way, so by working out loud, connecting with others in that matter is still something that sets us apart from algorithms and computers. So I'm really enthusiastic about knowledge sharing. Okay, so that was about the second message. Knowledge sharing is not a self-evident thing to do because it requires a mindset of vulnerability and it requires strong communication skills. So that was the second message. And now about the third message. I have to say so that there is no like a magical recipe What works in one organization does not work in another organization, but I will give you 5 recommendations, 5 tips in order to make knowledge sharing a success in your organization. The first one is about the executive level. You need active engagement. Executive level should not only say that social collaboration, that knowledge sharing is important. It's not enough. They should set the example by maintaining an active social media presence and by engaging in dialogue with customers and with clients. So that far for the executive level. And now what about the managers? Just imagine that somebody who's really enthusiastic about knowledge sharing, that he's sharing his knowledge, and then there is a middle manager passing by. And the middle manager says, "Don't you have anything better to do?" And it really happens at Wolters Kluwer. So don't forget about the middle managers, because they are really a vital layer in your organization. So don't overlook middle managers in your adoption strategy. And then the third one. Is there a question to Bjorn? Is there, this person is coming from Athos to talk about social? And where is this person from Athos? Ah, okay, yeah, François. I think that you know Michael Mingers. Okay. I had a really nice talk with Michael 1 month ago, and we were talking about the success of social collaboration, of knowledge sharing. And he said it should be very clear why you are investing in knowledge sharing. It's the why. But he said, in general, when people are promoting social collaboration and knowledge sharing, they always put the emphasis on the benefits of the organization. The benefits for the organization are rather clear. It's about innovative capability, it's about increased efficiency, it's about cost reduction, etc., etc. But, he says, you should also put the emphasis, and Emanuele already said it, you should also put the emphasis on the benefits of the individual. What's in for the individual? What's in for her? What's in for him or for her? And then the benefits of knowledge sharing for the individual, they are really clear. The first one is that it shapes your reputation at a wider scale. So it means you are less vulnerable. You do not depend only on one manager. Also, by sharing your knowledge, by working out loud, you build a strong network and you get a lot of useful feedback from other people, so you grow as a professional. So do not only put the emphasis on the benefits for the organization, but also for the individual. This is the third recommendation. The fourth tip is in fact the most difficult one. As long as knowledge sharing will remain something that you do on the side, it will only use up more of your time. So knowledge sharing should really be embedded in work processes, and this is one of the most difficult things to do. I have a lot of colleagues who say to me, Isabel, we want to use Yammer from Microsoft, but in fact it takes me a lot of time. It's something like an extra that I have to do. And so what we need is in fact is a digital workplace where the work is done within the digital tools, and then and only then knowledge sharing will be a success. And then, of course, sharing your knowledge is not an easy thing to do, and you really have to help people. You really have to train them because they are just not used to do it. So that was my talk for today. So my 3 messages were, I'm convinced of the fact that knowledge sharing is a vital catalyst for organizational transformation because it helps to get an external view, because it helps to get an adult working relationship. It does not come naturally to everyone because it reminds a certain mindset of vulnerability, and it reminds a strong set of communication skills. And then I give you the 5 recommendations. So, okay, so that was it. And then maybe, Bjorn, you have some questions or questions from the audience maybe first.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you at first.